Hey, welcome to Thursday night on DJNTV, and of course tonight we're feeling it out, and one of the things, of course, we've been doing is we've been taking a look at music, what works and what doesn't work, what's new, and what is old but still seems to work on the floors. Plus, we've got some other great stuff. John's got some great gear to show us, some amazing new lights, and Bill and I have a big announcement to make, because, well, we just keep making the announcement like it's new.
What's that? Have a theme song? It's a show with Bill and John and Jason. It should have a theme.
No, right now it's just the dulcet tones of my voice as I do the very canned introduction.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of years to sound this scripted. I'm telling you.
Bill and Jason and John show on
Thursday night
TV. Yeah,
what could be better?
We need a beatbox in the background.
So, John, you had a gig this last weekend, and
yeah,
and there was and you were noticing the little bit of. Well, between the requests and what worked to the requests and what didn't work to the requests in terms of what you were getting a lot of interest in. And what was the age of the crowd that you had?
Well, it was actually an older crowd than I had anticipated when they were talking to me. It was a company party, actually, that has been moved because of weather and such. They figured because of the age of the staff, it would be a younger night. But we, instead of having kind of that 25 to 60-year-old range, it really was... we had a small group of like 20, probably 25 to 30, and then we went from that to jumping to the 50-plus-year-old people.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So like a gang of older people came over.
Yeah.
And like beat them up and threw them out.
Exactly. And the 20-somethings were all young ladies. It was really, it was kind of weird. Yeah.
Well, that's better than the 70-year-old somethings being all the young ladies.
So besides Katy Perry and Miley Cyrus then, what were you playing?
Well,
the Andrews Sisters.
It was one of those nights that, and we've all had those nights where literally nothing worked.
Oh no!
It was, in the past I played for this group before, and we've done some, 80s. I do music video, and the 80s music videos have always been big with this crew. Some of the people were requesting some of those 80s songs, but it just wasn't, working. Usually, Bon Jovi, when he's on, the screens that we have were 16-foot diagonal screens, so Bon Jovi's pretty big. That usually can get the motor running of most,
16 feet full of big.
Yeah. It was like a flop. It's like, wow, what happened? I'm looking.
Did you DJ the last couple of years, or is this the first time you've taken on this group?
Actually, I've been doing this group for about 10 to 15 years. And we've slowly been building. We started out, it was, truthfully, when I first started, it was very much like last weekend's, where it was just kind of a nice, they talk a little bit, and then they skedaddle. And there's a term for you, skedaddle.
Well, maybe that was probably the problem you were having.
Maybe, yeah.
Trying to communicate with a bunch of people using words from the '3s.
Come on now. It wasn't that
bad. Come on, kids, let's skedaddle.
They were groovy people, so it wasn't a big deal. So after a couple of years of that, then we started to do more games, and we got to do a lot of gaming with this crew, and they built up a great crowd, and they were having almost 3 times the attendance. Then the last couple of years, there were more younger ladies in charge of the party committee, and they wanted to get rid of the games and go to the dancing, which has been working actually until this year. It was an interesting dynamic. Looking at the group, and because of knowing them, some of the people in the crowd that were my kind of party motivators or party starters, 3 of them weren't there, and I wasn't sure if those 3 people had that much party starting strength.
Right. On the party starting meter.
Hate to think it was only them making the party and not you, is what you're saying.
Well, it was that interaction between, because they were that person in the crowd that you can just use and do things with. And I had my secondary, a couple of secondary people that I've used over the years with my gaming and such, and it's like the people were just really, really passive and calm. And
was there bad news at the company by chance?
No, it was actually a pretty upbeat. The meeting and everything went very, very well. The only thing I can think of is, you're getting into the time of the year where we actually had a day with fairly decent weather. And I wonder if the weather and, after this long cold and ice spell here in Minnesota, if that had something to do with it. I really don't know.
So you think they didn't want to be there?
I think there was a level of that because generally there's a lot of rooms booked at the hotel by the group. And this particular year, there weren't as many rooms. So that could have also attributed to.
So they were kind of like making appearances.
I think so. I think there was a lot
that's going to affect their participation.
Tremendously. So it was still fun. We had a good time, but it was shorter than it typically would have been. We basically, instead of having an hour and a half dance, we really had a good solid half-hour dance where the couples were engaged in doing some things. We did more things for married men and women, there's for married couples, than I've done in a long time at one of their events. But that's the way it turned out.
Here's a question to get the take from both of you, because I've heard this in many conversations going to Mobile Beat or different conferences and just conversations about when this situation happens, and it's really interesting to one of the two directions that the different DJs go. So you're working an event, you try everything, nothing works in terms of like putting out the hooks and the dance to get the dance floor going. So then is there a point where you reach where you just stop and then give them background music for whatever it is that they're doing, or do you keep the energy going all night until the end and keep trying? So what would you do?
Bill, you want to date? I've got an idea.
It really depends on each one of the clients. I mean, if I start feeling like I'm being annoying, it's the conversation that I have with the people that have hired me. I will leave the booth and try to connect on a more one-on-one personal basis with the people in the room to find out if how things are going, if they're okay with what's happening, if they have any special requests to help them to start. Well,
let's just say that let's say it's a scenario where the people in the room appear to be enjoying the music, but nobody's dancing. People are bopping their feet and they're kind of like carrying on. They're all having a great time doing whatever they're doing, but they're all doing something other than dancing. So would you switch to kind of a like, well, I'm just going to give them background and let them do what they do, or would you?
No, not at all. I mean,
to keep the energy, try to hook them onto your floor.
If it's they're obviously not interested in being hooked to the floor, and if if I don't have the luxury of being able to ask my client how much they want me to go out and get people to get them to dance, then what I'm doing right now is just fine. No one's complaining. No one's throwing anything. No one's boo. None of that's going on. Right. I mean, that's not a very realistic scenario, though. And the scenario realistically would be if I'm not having success, and I think that success in the room is a full dance floor, maybe I don't understand the success of the room. Yeah. I find the client and I find out what that is. And if they want me to keep pounding them and go after them, I'll go after them all night long. But there is a point where if I don't understand the client and how badly they want to, what they mean, a great party to them may be bopping around their table. So, and if what I'm doing is making them bop around their table and they're not literally on the dance floor, I'm succeeding. But I want to be sure from my client that from their perspective, I'm succeeding.
Sure,
so I have
that makes sense.
And with a lot of the Christmas parties and corporate parties that I've done, because I'm video, I can have a little bit more engagement of the crowd without them hitting the dance floor. As an example, let's say we're doing as you say, they're bopping around on up at the bar or what have you, but they're not on my dance floor. Well, that might be a great time to do a sing along. And again, because I'm using screens, one of my favorite sing-alongs that I use is I've taken the lyrics to "Don't Stop Believing." So I can play the actual song and the lyrics are going up on the screens, and then I can start, and depending upon the reaction, if I'm getting some people to sing along, I can on the microphone build it up a little bit before it starts, and then maybe I can start to say, hey, over here I want to hear this side of the room, and I want to hear this, and you can start to build an engagement with the room with tools like a sing along. So
using other means of kind of drawing and engaging them. Exactly. Kind of engaging them in different levels rather than like a singular level. In other words, you're kind of like having more things in the arsenal to engage and play and see where they'll go.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are many times where I will use that routine, and I will have 3/4 of the room participating, but when we come back to the dance floor, there isn't a time during the night where I have maybe more than 10% of the room on the floor. So and again, it just depends on the the person in charge, whether that's a couple or the party committee, what have you, what their goal is for the night. As Bill was saying,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
so
What is
huge.
you're trying to achieve for them to create for them?
What do they call
Being clear on
success?
that.
A big sing along may be successful and may also be, hey man, we're talking.
Yep, exactly.
Don't try to get us singing.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun from my perspective. Doesn't mean that from our perspective it wouldn't be successful. But when you're dealing with private events, the success is really always determined by your clients. So understanding what they want before you get there, and understanding that something as delicate as a company party, when you're trying to please the middleman who is trying to please the boss man who is trying to please the owner, and everybody's worried about their job, so there you gotta so there's that constant conversation is very important to be sure that what you're doing is successful, instead of, hey man, I'm gonna do what I do and I'm gonna come at you. Okay, that's great, and you're probably really good at it, but you may have one of those three tiers of decision makers annoyed with you. So that's success. That's why it's always important that not only knowing what the success is going in, but also gauging it as the evening progresses, because oftentimes it changes a lot throughout the evening.
Yeah, valuable point of view. I was surprised of the people. Like I said, the conversation has just kind of come up in sharing multiple times, and I've been surprised at how often what I've heard is either kind of cutting one way or another. Like, I just keep at it, or I'll just switch to I'll switch gears to background music. Like that will please them. Like, I'll just find something that I think will please them in doing what they're doing. But interesting, never a mention of like what the goal of the client is.
Well, it's because I think
pretty
that
fascinating.
a lot of the DJs that answer their question believe that they're an island, and their job is to guess. It's to guess, and hopefully they'll guess right instead of actually knowing.
Well, only because they're just not thinking to ask, or not thinking that they could ask or should ask, or or anything like that. So you had there were some specific songs that were requested, John, that some played well and some didn't, and actually like surprising. Like Lord is one of those kind of surprising ones. It's not danceable at all, but they
exactly.
sing to it.
It was ironic. It's after last week's session where we were talking about songs that would clear the dance floor or that would not work on the dance floor. I'm looking at the top 10, and in the top 10, 4 songs were requested during the course of the night. They were Happy, a Team from Lord, All of Me, and Dark Horse were the 4 that were requested by that group of younger ladies. Well, if you listen to the 4 of them, they aren't. I mean, All of Me is kind of a slow dance song.
It is.
Kind of. It's not really...
It's that weird in between.
Yeah, it's just starting to work its way out of the slow dance tempo. Is that a good way to describe it? But it worked. And I ended up... I followed that up with an old Unchained Melody, which was an old favorite. And, of course, the first one, grabbed some of the younger couples, and they were starting, and then some of the older couples came out in the midst of it after they felt it was a safe, slow song. But then following it up with something that was older and more popular, for lack of a better way to describe it, more recognized. That worked wonderfully. But the interesting one of the 4 was Dark Horse from Katy Perry. You listen to it, and it just doesn't have a danceable beat. My older crowd, there's a few that were dancing, and that came on, and they were kind of skedaddled and went off to the side. And yet the younger ladies, that was of all the songs, that one probably brought out 10 younger ladies, maybe 10, 12. Okay. Which surprised me, because it didn't fit, in my mind, a typical club dancey song whatsoever. The video is kind of, it's a typical Katy Perry was on a desert island or out in the middle of Egypt or whatever. She's somewhere where she can wear a skimpy outfit.
And something is shooting out of some appendage.
Exactly. That she's about ready to win some kind of a battle or win something. So the video wasn't the draw. I don't know. I would have not guessed that really anyone would have danced to it, but yet it was, of all of my songs, the strongest one for that younger crowd, the younger demographic. But the tempo and the feel of the song are not our typical club, the boom-cha, boom-cha, boom-cha type music.
Was that where popularity just trumps pretty much danceability and like, oh, this song moves me. Like it's just popular. They just like it a lot.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a case of whatever, right now, Katy Perry is still hot enough in that circle where whatever she comes out with is going to do well because it's the new one from Katy Perry.
Well, and next year it's not going to work, probably.
Oh, sure. The song probably will have no life whatsoever, and I could be wrong. I don't think it's going to be...
Well, the song is charting really high right now, not only in downloads, but in regular charts. And American Top 40's Ryan Seacrest, our favorite DJ.
Ta-da.
He
King of the
he had it number one, and then it's number two in the Amazon top 5, number 2 rather, in Amazon's top download sales. Number 1, of course, is Pharrell. So
right,
Pharrell didn't even come up in the top 5 on top 40 with Ryan Seacrest.
Really,
it's interesting.
That is very interesting because that was
the number 1 download, but it's not the number 1. It's not even in the top 5 on the American Top 40 list.
Wow, that's
in terms of airplay.
Yeah. Well, I doubt that. I mean, I still can't turn on a radio station regardless, unless it's country, and not come up with happy within about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Of whatever radio station I'm listening to, unless it's a country station. So I can't believe it's airplay. I think it's just Ryan Seacrest.
He's not happy.
It's his agenda. You're onto something there. Welcome to Music Conspiracy Theories with Bill Hermann.
This is great. So let's take the song Team, because that was one that I played and it went okay. I mean, it was more of a sing along, for lack of a better way to describe it. Where would a person put? Say I'm getting ready. I'm doing a wedding. What are some thoughts? Where would you put a song like that in the course of an evening?
It would have to open a set. It would have to.
Yeah, I don't know what, or even come
unless
out of
it becomes one of those really big songs where everybody loves singing to it. It has to open a set because it's not danceable.
Yeah,
and you put it in the middle, you might kill half of what you've got out there, even though you may pique the interest of a few extras. You just might do more damage putting it in the middle of a set than if you let off, and then you're going to get something because of its popularity, and then you can build off that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. That was a struggle. As I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, do I come out of a slow song with it? Do I use that ahead of an interaction song like the Cha Cha Slide or something? How does a person? And then it was as I was thinking wedding, is it more of an early night sing along? Is it a late night sing along? Is it more of a pre dance where I'm wanting to get the toe tapping type song? Maybe I overthink it.
It's tougher and tougher to make those calls nowadays, especially. I mean, in no time in history have we had this many songs charted like they are that sound so different than others. It's like it used to be, when the disco era came out, everything sounded the same. When the funk era was going on in the 80s, everything sounded the same. New wave, everything sounded the same. Now with the internet and with YouTube, I mean, Happy is number 1. Dark Horse by Katy Perry is number 2. Let It Go by India Menzel. 4, Talk Dirty by Jason Derulo. 5, Pompeii by Bastille. All very different songs.
Yeah.
You couldn't create a set out of those songs unless you were doing a top 40 list.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, and the only thing that gets close to like sounding the same is when you get into dance top 40 songs, and even those, they've just taken these songs and they've put dance tracks behind them so that they can fit into the clubs, so they can have that regular beat thing going on.
Well, this is going to become this is kind of the tip of the iceberg as far as this goes. John and I went to the Digital Entertainment World Expo. It was kind of like the first expo on digital entertainment and music.
When did you go? Wait, when did you go to that?
A few weeks ago.
You guys went?
Yeah.
Just the two of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody had to.
Okay. No, that's not. No, that's fine. No, really. No, it's good.
Yep. I mean,
that's fine. I'm good. I'm glad you went.
What are you saying, Bill? What are you saying?
One of the things that they had pointed out that because of downloads and videos and all that kind of thing, you don't have the funnel of radio kind of feeding what's popular right now. It's like the influence is all over the place, and this generation that's between 15 and 20 that really kind of drives popularity and charting and music and that sort of thing are getting their music and sampling their music all over the place in all kinds of different places, which is driving this enormous eclectic mix. So it's not just like, are you a country kid or a hard rock kid, or are you a top 40 girl? I mean, it's like way more broad than that. I mean, that's why, I think that attributes to the success of Mumford and Sons. I mean, I played Mumford and Sons at dances and got in a dance floor or kept it going with that. And things like that. Something that I wouldn't have never expected to play, or to be that mainstream popular, to have a bluegrass type, kind of bluegrass / punk kind of sounding band. And it's like, so it's going to become like even more and more eclectic. One of my favorite. It
already is. I mean, with the next generation, my oldest daughter is 12, and the biggest thing she's into right now is music from Japan. Okay, she's got music from Japan anime. That's really crazy popular at school. And I'm a DJ. Mm-hmm. I'd never heard of this. So talk about that just speaks to how far they're reaching into completely different markets that we have no clue about right now.
Well, and how DJs, as you age, are going to have to really look at how you keep track of and keep on top of the pulse of what's really hot and popular.
Well, wait. Who are you talking to?
Other DJs that are getting older.
Other DJs, nobody in this show.
Yeah, other older DJs that are out there.
Really
decrepit. This is not an ageism thing. Okay?
Yeah, whatever.
Right?
I don't get invited to a thing. Now I'm too old to be in the show.
So that being said, let's talk about lights. Let's talk about lights, baby.
We just dated ourselves that we actually knew that song from the 90s and played it.
Now that we sang it, we're going to have to pay for it. You just watch.
That's a staple. That's a staple song from the 90s.
Well, we didn't sing Happy Birthday, so we're okay.
During the hookup hour.
Anyway.
Play Let's Talk About Sex, followed by I Just Had Sex, right around 12:30.
Nice.
Well, like you can play both of those songs and complete the Nevermore. I can play about 30 seconds of the first song and I'm done and taking a nap.
All right. Sorry I took us there. Now we were going to talk about lights.
Yes, it's been a busy week in the DJ industry. There was a huge event, the ProLight Sound event in Frankfurt, Germany. Was going on this past week.
I just got back from that.
Brian Red,
did you go to that?
Or is there?
No, we didn't. Jason and I decided not to go because you were going to go, and there's this thing, if all three of us are in the same place at the same time, and there was a bomb that dropped, what would happen to Thursday nights?
Exactly.
You were worried you weren't going to have enough beer.
Well, there might be that too. There might be, but yeah, Brian Red was there. A lot of the big lighting manufacturers were there. There were some new things shown, and I got a couple of things that I wanted to kind of to talk about tonight, because they were a couple of them are so new that we'd never seen anything like those before. And one item was something that when we at Conclave last year, we had a speaker demo where we were showing the different sound systems, and one of the things that people were looking at some of those and they're like, I love the 15-inch cabinets, but I don't want to haul that much weight. I want something smaller that can still give me a great sound. Well, one of our speaker manufacturing companies, it's one of our advertisers, having to come out with something, so it's like a yay win-win. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about.
What is it?
Well, I'm going to show you now. That came out this past week.
What was their name?
It's called, this is the P1000 from Cerwin-Vega.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and this is a pretty sweet cabinet. This is a 10-inch two-way. It has a 1,000-watt amplifier in there, Class D. The compression and the components and everything, really super high quality on this guy. If you guys remember back at Conclave, we had all the speakers set up and we were doing that speaker kind of demo that night.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the things that we had the P1500 from Cerwin-Vega, which is the big brother to this, and a lot of guys really like the sound to it, but it's a huge cabinet. I mean, it's a serious load. Weight-wise, it wasn't horrible bad, but I mean, it was pretty much all a person wanted to do to get it up there. The idea of coming out with a 12 actually is what the DJs were asking for, but wow, they've come out with a 10. pretty cool. I'm really excited. They'll be getting those. Will be shipping here in the next couple of months, and I'm really excited.
You haven't heard them yet?
No, we haven't heard it. I've only heard the 1500, and they do sound very, very nice. I was really excited about the clarity and the dispersion. You can kind of see a little bit in that image that the horn at the top is kind of an oblong shape, and it gives a little bit more of a dispersion than more of a pointed, we'll call it, tweeter on it. So,
well, that's the first thing you learn in geometry class. Is an oblong shape gives you a much better dispersion than a regular old circular one.
Exactly. So it's a neat concept. I'm really excited to check that out. But that was a big release last week. Next, we've got. I'm going to pop this up here.
That's not a speaker.
That is right there. This is from High End Lighting. This came out brand new last week. You're looking at the Shapeshifter from High End Lighting. Now, you might have noticed in that part of the video clip, it's a moving head, but you see those little triangular spots? Those actually do some tilting back and forth. So you're getting multiple effects. You can get a tight beam. It can tilt those little spots out. It can do color changing. It's an incredible fixture. I mean, that in the world of lighting is literally a game changer. As you can see, it's able to sweep the different beams back and forth.
Oh.
I've never seen anything like that. That came out new last week, and it's the first time
That's really dynamic. That must be that must be pretty high end. That must be like serious club stuff, huh?
Yes, that's you're working on touring level. Price wise, huge money with that.
So more than $200-300.
Exactly. It's probably adding a couple of zeros to that.
Wow.
But it is. I mean, there are DJs out there who do that level of work that would be able to handle something like that.
I know the guys.
It's just incredible, incredible. So that was cool. Something completely game-changing different for the DJ lighting. But let's go to one of our favorites here. We've got the Vortex. This is the 1200 we're looking at right now. This particular one again is a moving.
This one's pretty cool.
Moving head fixture, but it has the different lenses, and as you could see from the video, it can actually do some different things again that haven't been seen in a moving head fixture before.
Wow.
So in the DJ, now we're getting into the area where DJs can afford this. A great light that'll give you the effect, kind of a moonflower effect. It can come together and be more of a solid beam effect. And as you can see in their little demo, talking about the different things it can do. But that was a really exciting light. A lot of people that I've talked to from the show have talked about that light and what a wow factor it was.
And it's called the Vortex 1200?
The Vortex 1200. My biggest disappointment with that light is that I didn't get to see it at NAMM. But that is a brand new.
Wait, you didn't see it live? We're just seeing a video?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see it live yet. I'm so disappointed.
No. I think we need to, make a personal appeal to the American Disc Jockey.
Yeah.
Come on our show and bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it to my studio, to Jason's studio, and to
Shine it right on John.
And we'll shine them around and do an entire show with the thing doing the thing.
I think John should do an interpretive dance in the light.
Can you?
I do every Friday night.
Now, maybe this is the problem you had with the gig you had the other night.
Maybe
the big news that got everybody depressed was, we have that DJ again.
That does the interpretive dance.
The interpretive dance that you began with to Swan Lake.
Exactly.
You change up the music.
You're all gonna lose your jobs.
My interpretive dance of ice in the winter in Minnesota. It was great.
I'll be here next year.
And you're going to have to listen to the same song again.
Over and over and over.
But I'll have a new cool light.
But that would be the interpretive singing, I guess.
Interpretive singing, that's right. I have to be mime. I have to do my... So that was probably the hottest things that came out of Frankfurt last week. So I wanted to talk about or show those a little bit. Those are pretty cool.
Wow, that's
very really cool, man.
That's
really
cool.
Now we're talking about this mostly because we want them to see it and bring us to Frankfurt next year.
Well, that would be cool also, except I don't know if I could, handle the beer. It's like straight beer instead of that.
It's like straight beer.
Well, it's like our watered down stuff here.
It's okay.
It's room temperature too.
Yeah, well, and I could probably handle that, but I mean, I've got some of the even some of our Canadian friends. They come down and they laugh at us. And usually we
Well,
laugh at them, I thought.
I like, and they tell you that they're laughing at.
I know, and they laugh at us because of not only the way we talk, because we talk funny, because of what we drink. And it's like,
we clearly enjoy quantity over quality. So
Yeah.
that way we can drink more of the good stuff. More is better. You know, if one's good, two's better.
two's better.
Three, what the heck? Four,
Yeah.
I don't remember. Five, who are you? Six, let's go.
6, let's party.
Six, 7, is that the sun?
I think that's a great spot to end the show.
Oh, yay.
That's great.
Fun. It's super exciting. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, John. And thanks for tuning in to our Thursday Night Fun. Next week, it'll be totally different.
Oh, yes.
But Bill's going to be on the outside next week?
I hope so.
Good.
I'm tired of being Alice.
Good night.